Greetings, friends. This is Lore with GameCan.net. I know I don't normally do videos, but I felt like this was a perfect time to start doing something here. Especially given what happened this last week. So, Square has been really big on this thing of lately trying to provide us with a touch version of a lot of their games, which I love. I mean, hey, I get to play some of my favorite games on my iPad, on my iPhone, get taken with me wherever I go. I like that a lot. Since I don't have a PSP to play a lot of them, hey, I'll take it. However, I have to say that when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, I'm just really disappointed. And I thought it would be hard for anything to take me back from where I didn't like Final Fantasy VII even less. But Square managed to make it happen here. I'm sure most know who, when I do comment on things, 7 is definitely one of my least favorite Final Fantasies. Which seems to fly in the face of what everyone else wants to say, but hey, everyone has their own favorites. In my case, I always hated the fact that the storyline was incomprehensible, especially when you look at games later on games like 8 and 9, where yes, 8 had plot holes, I'll give it that, but at least they explained the plot holes in ways that weren't just, well, we'll just ignore the gaping hole in the room. Unlike 7. But neither here nor there. So the biggest thing for me is that Square released this literally just to try and capitalize on the whole big hype of the remake that was announced this last year. Which is fine, great, releasing the game that most people consider to be one of the best Final Fantasies ever made, erroneously, but still. Everyone's allowed to their mistaken opinion. They basically said, we're not improving the graphics, we're not doing anything with the graphics, it's going to be the exact same game that you got before. Alright, well, I'm willing to support it because I want to see them release 8 and 9 on the iOS system because I want to play those as well. So I went ahead and bought it. Thinking, well, I already know the game, I at least still have touch controls so we can play it a little easier with that. Boy, was I wrong. So you can see here the graphics are identical to what the PlayStation was. This is, by the way, being shot from my iPhone. Good little system for it. I cannot play this on the iPad. I've tried. The controls are just too far out of there, and you'll understand what I mean when I say the iPad controls just don't work. iPhone is bad enough. But overall, I remember this scene gave me such big chills when I first saw it back when it was first released in '97. And I was like, back then I was like, ooh, this great big game. Neither here nor there, though. My main complaint right now is basically related to, specifically, what Square has done to make this game almost unplayable. Because, as much as I disliked the game, it was definitely playable. The battle system was fun. I liked the materia setup and like that. So how can Square go about ruining something like that? You're about to see. Notice the overlay that's on the screen right now. You'll see that we have A, X, Y, and B. Why they have those buttons specifically as opposed to what was originally on the PlayStation is neither here nor there. But when you go into combat, suddenly you have a D-pad. Why would you release a game on a touch system without at least modifying the controls to actually work well with a touch screen? Square's proven they can do this. After all, they gave us this, Final Fantasy V, another of my favorite games, another one that shows that Square can release good quality products. Heaven forbid that they should actually try and capitalize on their fans' goodwill by providing a shoddy release such as 7. And let's not even go into the fact that we have other great releases on here like Final Fantasy VI. Another great game that shows that Square knows how to make a touchscreen. So, touch interface that works well with a iOS device or even an Android. So what does this say about Square? That they're lazy or incompetent or just plain don't care? Well, I'll let you be the judge with that, because you can see here with the controls just what they're like. I mean, you've got the analog controls right here, right now, and we'll change it to the digital controls here in a moment. Let me just get past this little conversation here. Wow, this is exactly what we saw in 7 on the PlayStation. Okay, well, I can accept that in that respect. What I can't respect is the fact that they just really botched everything over and made it almost unplayable. And again, who am I to say that Square doesn't know what they're doing? After all, okay, I can understand, system controls, limitations, things like that. Makes it really hard to probably try and make a good quality redesign of the interface so you can at least do things. So by doing an overlay, that's a lot easier. It doesn't require you to reprogram the entire game from scratch. Right? I mean, if people thought it was being reprogrammed from scratch, then that means they'd be expecting them to actually redo everything here. I mean, you can see the controls are digital controls are even worse than the analog. But overall, I mean, the biggest thing is that that argument still doesn't really fly here, because Square just released Final Fantasy IX. Yes, they skipped 8, and I'm sad about that because I actually like 8 a lot, but that's neither here nor there. They released 9. But they actually did something I can't believe. Here, let me show you. So this was Final Fantasy IX released on the original PlayStation. Looks really good graphics-wise and everything, One of those great games. And 9 happens to be one of my favorite games in the series, by the way. So we've got this great game here. Really nice graphics, stuff like that. And back in the day, those were considered great graphics. Now, had Square just released this game like this, just like they did with 7, I would have still bought it. I wouldn't have been as happy, but I would have still bought it. However, Square proved that they really don't care about 7's fans very much at all. I can't blame them, considering how bad of a game 7 is. But when you consider that these graphics here, really nice quality still. Yes, in this day and age, rather blocky, polygons, things like that. You can see the pixels because this was a low-res game, even when it was really pretty looking. But still, overall, somewhat decent game like that, right? Look at that. Here's what Square decided to do. What's this? An actual up-res? Okay, these graphics are definitely a lot better than what was on the 7 release. Wow. There's some details there you really couldn't notice on the PlayStation release. They just weren't there. So instead we get this. Wow, that's just even more so right here. Wow, look at this. So we have, Oh, look, Zidane's actually a lot more detailed with this. Interesting, too. So, Square proved that they could actually up-res the movies. What about the actual in-game, like this? Oh, wow. Look at these difference. You can... Oh, and they gave you a little explanation how to play. Interesting. What's this? A touchscreen? An actual touch interface. Thank you, Square, for completely showing just how lazy you can be. So in addition to us having this great game, they actually upped the ante on this game. Wow, I'm impressed actually. This actually restores my faith a bit with Square. Unfortunately, we still have this piece of trash that just should never have been released like this. The controls are abysmal. I mean, who in their right mind puts an overlay for a PlayStation game like this? And we know it's not a system restriction because we showed that with 9, they could actually do something about it. No, this is strictly just pure laziness, plain and simple. Now, I know this seems like I'm ranting about the game itself, and I am, because I'm sick of lazy ports. Square's proven they can do it, so why do we have to put up with trash like this? Of course, one day we might be able to get 8 done, released, and we'll finally actually have a good game series on here overall. But for right now, just remember, don't buy this. Buy this and support the good games. This has been your public service announcement from GameCan.net.